Good morning, Project Lead the Way students. You're probably wondering what happened to me. Well, my daughter got a cold and she's only 7, so I can't leave her home alone. And as you know, the COVID restrictions now say that you can't have any symptoms and go to school. So she has to stay home from school for 72 hours past her symptoms. So hopefully I'll be back about midweek. If not sooner, we'll see how it all goes. So I'm going to go over what you're going to be doing today. First of all, if you have not yet finished your submission form for your Instant Design Challenge or Paper Glider prototype, please make sure that you are going into Otis and finishing this. If for some reason you turned it in early before you had finished it and you need editing access again, just send me an email and I'll quickly hop on and give you that access back. You do want to make sure that you're answering everything thoroughly and in complete sentences. That does affect your grade. You can see that rubric in Otis. So make sure your modification notes are written in complete sentences with a lot of details about how far away from the target it was and what you did to correct whatever was happening. So if it's doing corkscrews in the air, say so, and then say what it is that you did to modify your prototype so that it would no longer do that. And like I said, minimum of 3 you need to record for me, but you can record more trials if you would like to. And then I need you to answer these 4 reflection questions. Again, complete sentences and be really thorough. I want to know how this went for you. And I don't want just one-word answers or a little phrase there. I want to know the details. All right, once you're done with that, make sure you get it turned in so that I can get that graded hopefully today and get it back to you. And now on to what we're going to do today. So today we're going to be looking at the engineering design process. We're going to go through the steps that we took for your paper glider prototype and what part in the engineering design process each thing was. So I'm going to show you again how to get into your Project Lead the Way site for those of you that may have forgotten. If you were absent the day that I passed out your username and password to get into your Project Lead the Way site, I do have little slips of paper with your name on it on my desk. You can ask the sub for that. And I'm also going to see if I can try to maybe email that to you today so that you have it as well. All right, click on Student, Flight, and Space once you're logged in. So if you missed that, I went to Courses, and then I clicked on the Flight and Space tile. Now we are working in lesson 1, flight, and we are on activity 1.1 Instant Design Challenge. So let me close this out so we can see everything. All this first stuff, you've already done this. We have gone through the design brief. We did all of the generating concepts, designing your solution, testing and modifying, and evaluating your solution at this point. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go through the engineering design process. And you probably recognize this. It's also on my wall in my classroom. This is the engineering design process. There are 6 steps in the process, and it is a wheel because there are oftentimes, and most of the time, when you are engineering something, that you are going to have to revisit previous steps to generate more concepts, to redesign the solution. I'm sure as you were testing and modifying your paper gliders, you may have tested something and thought, this isn't working, and completely scrapped your idea and maybe went back to generating concepts, doing research, finding up some more, getting some more ideas and then redesigning it. So it's a wheel because you're constantly going round and round until you get that perfect prototype, okay? And just to be clear, the engineering design process is a systematic problem-solving strategy that designers follow to come up with a solution to a problem. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each one of these videos, and then in Otis is a document where you're just going to answer a question based on our paper glider prototype instant design challenge that we did. Okay. Now I want to show you what that document looks like in Otis. It looks like this. You'll see the engineering design wheel there. And then for each step in the engineering design process, I just have a question to get you thinking along those lines. And then you are going to type out an answer here that is complete sentences again and is thorough, okay, based on what you did during your instant design challenge. All right, so back here, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video and then we're gonna talk about it.
The first step in the design process is to identify a problem or an opportunity. As part of this step, designers validate the problem or opportunity by asking questions such as, who says it's a problem? What are the needs and wants? And are there any prior solutions to this problem? Once the problem is validated and justified, designers proceed to identify and document the design requirements. This encourages them to think of all aspects of the problem before attempting a solution.
One very obnoxious thing about the Project Lead the Way site is after you're done watching a video, it kicks you back up to the top again. So I'm gonna have to scroll down for each one of these. Okay, so defining the problem. Well, if you remember back to when we defined the problem using what is called a design brief. So the design brief is right here, and we read through this as a class, and this clearly stated the problem for us, okay? So what I want you to do now is you can pause this video. I want you to go in and answer this question. What was the problem that Ace Toy Company was having? Feel free to look back and read that design brief again if you need to and answer that question. Go ahead and pause now. All right, hopefully you have answered that first question. Now let's take a look at the second step in the engineering design process. This step is called generating concepts.
The second step of the design process is to generate concepts. When generating concepts, designers research past solutions and brainstorm new ideas. When brainstorming, designers capture all the ideas they can think of without critiquing each other. This encourages all team members to contribute to the creative process and avoids losing any valuable ideas along the way. During the brainstorming process, designers may uncover additional goals that can improve the design. Once designers have generated multiple possible solutions, they compare the solutions based on specific criteria and narrow down their choices to a few, or if possible, to one solution path.
Okay, let me scroll down here. Okay, so during our instant design challenge, if you remember, we read through the design brief, you guys wrote down the design requirements and the test requirements. Then you went on to generating concepts. This is where I told you, don't talk to your partner. I want you to sketch all your ideas in your Project Lead the Way notebook. I want you to do research, whatever you need to do to get a really good idea or multiple ideas, okay? Then I had you come together with your partner and share those ideas. And sometimes you guys chose two different ideas and you built two different prototypes and then you compared them. Some groups chose to just make one prototype and to build as well. Okay, so that was generating concepts, what you were doing during all of that. So if I come back over to my document that's in Otis, generate concepts, what did your group do to generate concepts? Maybe you were one of the groups that did a lot of online research. You found a good tutorial. You found something that worked for other people. Some of you came up with your own ideas just by sketching everything in your brain onto your paper. So what did your group do to generate concepts? Okay, go ahead and pause the video now, fill that in, and then when you're done, you can press play again. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to fill that in. Now we're going to talk about designing a solution. This is the third step in the engineering design process.
third step of the design process is to design a solution. During this step, designers create a detailed design using technical drawings and models. The drawings and models provide the technical information necessary to produce a solution.
All right, so that is the third step in the engineering design process. When we did this in class, this is where I said, okay, I want you to draw a nice detailed sketch of your design solution. I want you to annotate it, label all the different parts. Where are you going to put the tape? Where are you going to fold it? Where are you going to put the paper clips? All that kind of stuff. Now, our process was not formal. Your sketches were not up to engineering standards for sure. And there's probably other ways that you could have communicated this or designed it before you built it. You could have done some 3D modeling. You could have done some detailed engineering sketches with dimensions. You could have done what we did in design and modeling, where you did top, front, side view with dimensions and all of that. So my question for you then for this is, in our class, you designed a solution by sketching in your Project Lead the Way notebooks. Can you think of drawings or models that might have communicated your ideas better? Okay, so I just gave you a lot of examples of other ideas that there are the ways that you could have communicated your ideas. So go ahead and fill in what you think would have been better for that step. Pause the video now if you didn't get that. We'll go on to the next step in just a moment. All right, hopefully you paused the video and filled in some answers to that step 3, designing a solution. Now we're going to take a look at step 4, building and testing your solution. This is what we spent the most time on, and I also think it's the most enjoyable part of the engineering design process. So let's take a look at this video.
The fourth step of the design process is to develop and test a solution that follows their design. During this step, designers build and test their solution. They test its performance, usability, and durability, and they collect and analyze the test data. If the test data indicate a flaw in the design, the designers must return to a previous step in the design process to modify or improve their design. Remember, each step of the design process is documented in the design notebook, thus providing chronological documentation of the design process.
All right, so we didn't follow this exactly as we should, but if you look at the engineering design wheel here, if you're testing your design solution, you have built this paper glider and it is not working, then you had to go back to generating concepts again, probably to come up with a new idea. And if we had done this process formally as it should be done, then you would have also done some engineering sketches to redesign before you modified and built your prototype again, or made modifications to the existing prototype. So let's take a look at your document here. The fourth step in the engineering design process is to build and test. And so we're going to keep this informal. How did you test your solutions? Okay, so go ahead and list out what we did in class to test this. Make sure you used a lot of details about how the testing process went for you. If you haven't already, go ahead and pause and answer that question. If you're ready to move on, let's go ahead. Okay, this is step 5, evaluate a solution.
The fifth step of the design process is to evaluate the solution. In this step, designers test the solution's effectiveness, reflect on their design, and recommend any potential improvements. As in any step, designers can choose to return to a previous step in the design process to make necessary modifications or improvements.
All right. So this step in the engineering design process is you are done building and testing, and you have this finished prototype. And then what you do is you take a moment to think, okay, how does this solve? Does this solve Ace Toy Company's design problem? Did I achieve that goal? Okay, so if you look at your submission form that you hopefully have turned in by now, you actually did evaluate your solution by answering all of these questions just in this document, okay? And I'm going to ask you kind of that overarching question once again. So for this step, the question asks, how well did your prototype meet the needs of Ace Toy Company? And if you remember back to the beginning when we were reading that design brief, they needed it to be stable in flight. They needed it to consistently land on a target. So did your prototype meet that goal? And if it didn't, tell me why. Okay, so share details about how well your prototype met the needs of Ace Toy Company. Go ahead and pause here and fill that in. And then when you're ready, you can click play again. All right, last step in the engineering design process. This is presenting the solution. So let me show you this video.
The last step of the design process is to present the solution. Designers deliver a formal presentation of their solution and share their project documentation with their clients. Although we have presented the design process in a somewhat linear fashion, the path from identifying a problem to presenting a solution is rarely straightforward. Designers must evaluate, reflect, redefine, and redesign throughout the process. It is common to repeat steps of the design process several times before an optimal solution is found.
All right, so in our class, we did not present our solutions. And in previous Project Lead the Way courses, I would definitely have students presenting their solutions, but groups are much smaller than I usually do. And with COVID and all that kind of stuff, I'm having you guys just stay in your seats and not present. So my question for you then, because we didn't actually present in class like I usually would have had you do, is given the opportunity, how would you have presented your prototype to Ace Toy Company? Would you have shown them the physical prototype? Would you have shown them video, footage of your prototype time after time landing on the target? Would you have gone over the testing and modification process with them? How would you, if you were presenting to this company, how would you present this design solution to them? All right. This should keep you pretty busy today. And like I said, if you haven't had an opportunity yet, please make sure you go back and finish that submission form that was in Otis previously. And have a great day. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Bye, you guys.